Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 3 things I think you should know about tonight's powerful full moon, happening, of course, November 5th, 2025. It's a super moon, so you may have been feeling the effects of it all week. And what I'm going to do now is break this down into 3 digestible themes that you might be experiencing right now, hoping that by having a little bit of awareness of it, you can roll with these changes, roll with the transformations ensuing as we speak in a very positive way. Because as you know, many people get kind of just lost in the weeds, lost in the chaos. But this chaos has potential. Your chaos, your drama, your problems, your emotional upheaval, your uncertainty, your doubt, your fears have blessings to bestow. There's always a lot of potential with each full moon, especially the supermoons. And this one is no different. Theme number 1, you might find yourself what I call adjusting to the new. Sometimes you will notice that you'll sort of find yourself in like an upgraded circumstance. It could be a relationship, it could be a career, it could be anything you've maybe been wanting for a long time and now you got it. But now you're like, I don't know if this, after like the initial high wears off, you might wonder, like, is this actually for me? Is this something that I can handle? It's common to kind of go through a process when you finally find yourself in one of these situations. I'll give an example. I just spoke to a wonderful woman just the other day, one of my clients, and she's been working on for a while, her YouTube channel. And she finally started getting viral videos. And with YouTube, it's kind of crazy because it's like one of those things where you're putting energy into it, you're filming videos, you're not getting anywhere. It's like your videos get like 5 views, 3 of them are from you and the other one's from your mom, the other one's from like your friend, you know? It's like that for a while until it's not. Until for whatever reason, the YouTube gods decide that, oh, we're gonna promote the heck out of this person. We're gonna promote the heck out of this video. And all of a sudden you go from getting 10 views a video to like 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. It's a bizarre feeling. I've been through it myself. And when it happened to me, same thing, where it was something I wanted. I was intending for it. I was working for it. And then all of a sudden, when I finally saw it start happening, I like panicked. I started to like freak out. I had like an actual panic attack one time, sitting in my truck, watching one of my videos go viral. I literally was like filled with anxiety and panic energy. And it's like, well, why? This is what you want, man. Well, because it's a lot safer as an idea. My dream, your dream, is much safer as a someday. How nice it would be when I get this. But there's like a vibrational reality sometimes to these things we say we want. And your body's not going to lie. On one hand, I wanted to grow my YouTube channel. On the other hand, in truth, buried deep within my shadow were all sorts of conflicting energies, conflicting beliefs, misaligned energies, pent-up emotions, all this baggage basically that is in direct opposition with this new situation I find myself in. And in the past, I would make the mistake. I would succumb to this sudden resistance, and I would self-sabotage myself and get myself back into a place where it felt normal. Safe, but boring. Safe, but unfulfilling. Safe, but not where I'm actually meant to be. Not where I'm actually capable of being. Luckily, my friend, the client here, didn't fall for that mistake. She's not freaking out. We were talking about it actually, and we were going over some of the concerns that can happen. For example, when no one's seeing your videos, you have no real feedback. But if a video goes viral, all of a sudden there's a lot of attention on it, a lot of expectation for that next video. Sometimes you get negative, mean comments, and for the first time, it's bizarre. Imagine you waking up to like 10 people telling you how much you suck at life and how you should it's like, whoa. It's kind of a shock actually. But she's hanging in there and she's adjusting and she's rolling with it very nicely, unlike myself. Because it's understandable. It's understandable because you get to a place And all of a sudden, all your conflicting energies and beliefs and doubts and like your old shadow self comes up to the surface, and temporarily it kind of clouds your judgment. And then you see yourself through the lens of almost nothing but your past. And of course, if I'm looking at myself through the lens of all my mistakes, all of my traumas, all my shortcomings, no, this fragment of me certainly can't handle the YouTube growth I've been wanting for. But that's not all there is to me, and that's not all there is to you. That's not all there is to my client. We're more than that. But sometimes when we're going through these accelerated periods of purging out old aspects of us, that's all we can temporarily see. And I've learned that if you can kind of like hang in there basically and be patient and trust that you wouldn't be where you are if you weren't actually meant to. If you can trust, then this purge can sort of resolve itself. And then not only do you find yourself still there, still rocking it out with the YouTube growth or the new relationship, whatever it is, but now you can actually be at peace with it. Now you don't have these conflicting aspects of your unconsciousness that are going to eventually somehow self-sabotage it and bring you back to normal. It's this purge is necessary for you to stay where you want to be, to rise to the occasion truly without these like ties to your past. So if you find yourself feeling the pressure, whatever it is in your own way, again, this doesn't have to happen with just YouTube. That's just an example. This happens a lot with relationships. If you haven't noticed, when you have relationships, especially if you're trying to seek out like a lover and a partner, you might have found that you've gone through multiple like learning lesson relationships, each one teaching you certain things. And you might notice there's sometimes like a progression, like you finally like you're upgrading and getting people who are more compatible, but still not a right fit. And if you find someone who's a really good fit, sometimes again, there's so much pressure, you don't want to lose it. And it can be like the same exact circumstances I mentioned with the relationship. It could be with your job. It could be with your living situation. I experienced it with this house. We just moved recently, and we happened to move at a time when my business was not doing very well, kind of unexpectedly. And on one hand, I was like, I'm so happy here. I love it here. At the same time, I was wondering, oh my God, can I afford it? Am I going to be okay? Can I handle this? And it was like, not just that, it was all the emotional identity type stuff that goes along with that type of thinking. I had to go through a bit of an adjustment period until where I could finally like now settle in and enjoy the new home, enjoy the relationship, enjoy the YouTube success. Again, with like having gone through like a bit of an identity shift where you now identify with one who belongs in this house, relationship, whatever, fill in the blank for your own situation. But the whole reason I'm saying this is don't give in to the resistance. That resistance is not all you are. That resistance is almost a lie. It's fear. It's fear trying to pull you back. But that fear is founded upon very faulty thinking, very old stuff. That if you can just stand your ground, know who you are on a deep level, all that can kind of come and go, and the real you will remain in this nice situation you find yourself in. Now, some of you are saying, Vic, I haven't just found myself in a nice situation, bro. I bet if you look hard enough, you've experienced some type of upgrade. You're going through some semblance of this, some type of adjustment period involving you either being there or pursuing something new and going through the almost like the inevitable purge as a result. Whether you've yet to get to your new place and you're making your way towards it, or you're already there, regardless, the name of the game is the same. It's don't buy into the old self, who's going to be very loud and in your face, trying to compel you through all this negative, worst case scenario thinking to bring you back to normal. Normal is bullshit. Normal is not nature. Nature is about change. It's about moving on from the past. It's about new things, new experiences, growth, expansion. This full moon is trying to like help you expand by showing you all the ways that you have been preventing yourself from doing so. Number two, I will speak a bit specifically to your relationships. It's a common thing during the awakening process for you to find yourself in the midst of like a relationship readjustment period, where because everybody is kind of changing quickly, Some people are growing, like you folks are growing probably very rapidly in your evolution, in your level of consciousness, and your vibration, as people say. And other people are not. Other people are kind of getting caught up in the acceleration, in the drama, in their own drama, and it causes them to kind of like default back into almost like devolve a little bit, honestly, at least temporarily, not always permanently, but many times people will temporarily sort of like go way off track in terms of their consciousness. And sometimes they learn and they snap back, and sometimes they don't. But nonetheless, we're all kind of doing that in our own way. And what might have been a fit within your relationships last Tuesday, all of a sudden might not feel right. And it might just be a little tweaking you have to do. Sometimes people fall out of your life, and something happens where it's like very in your face and undeniable, and you have no choice but to like go your separate ways. I've had this with old friends, and it's tough. I remember one time I showed up to, I met my wife a long time ago when I was in my early 20s. And when I met Patty, my wife, me and her kind of did our own thing for a while. And I kind of lost touch a little bit with my high school buddies. And during that time, I went through a spiritual awakening and kind of like missed having my boys, missed having this group of friends. But deep down, I knew every time I would go around, I just knew it was not compatible. I could feel it. I could feel just the different things we were focused on, the different things we thought about, the different things we wished to discuss and talk about. It was just no longer a fit. But I remained in denial because of just the history and the loyalty, and we were brothers, that kind of thing. And there was just one time when we were set to go to this Guns N' Roses concert a long time ago. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is what we've been needing. We need something that we all collectively love to reunite us. And I had so much hopes for this concert reuniting us. And I remember showing up to the concert and seeing all my buddies sort of like standing there waiting for me. And I could just tell the moment I laid eyes on them that all my hopes were in vain. And it's just not there anymore. It's not happening. It had run its course, the relationship. There was a discernible dissonance. Not good or bad, higher or lower, but no longer were we meant to be in each other's lives, at least for this next chapter. Okay, now that's one example. Other times, things just need to shift a little bit. And sometimes change and shifting can feel like I just described. It can feel like an ending, but it's not always an ending. Another rock concert analogy, if you can indulge me just for a minute here. I remember I woke up one day a few years ago feeling very not depressed, but sad. I was grieving because my middle son Lucas was getting older. For the longest time, he was daddy's little buddy. He'd follow me around and we'd do everything together. And I could just see, you can see it, if you have kids, you see them, they go through these kind of quick growth spurts. And all of a sudden, he was like his own independent person, not wanting to hang out with dad so much. And that sweet little innocence that like 3, 4, 5-year-old, 6-year-old kids have was starting to kind of be replaced by a little bit of attitude and things like that. And I found myself waking up that day grieving that, feeling like that version of Lucas is gone. It was like I lost him, it felt like. And I was just very sad, genuinely sad. But then what happened? Later on that day, I was set to go to a concert with a buddy, and last minute he couldn't go for some reason. And I had this extra ticket. And I was like, I looked over at my older son, Luke, who I was previously like a little bit sad about. And I realized, I bet Luke is old enough to go. And I was like, hey bro, you want to go to a concert? And he's like, yeah. And I took him and we had the best time. It was also Guns N' Roses, actually, believe it or not. It was a GNR concert. And it was so epic. And I remember it was like the beginning of this whole new chapter of our relationship. And I felt so grateful. On one hand, yeah, little Luke doesn't need me to tie his shoes anymore. But now we can rock out and listen to Guns N' Roses and Alice in Chains. They were there as well opening. It was badass. So my point is, sometimes you just got to let life take its course, and fighting these changes within your relationships or relationship dynamics is futile. It ends in messiness. And if you can just sort of yield to where life is trying to place you, I can almost guarantee you're going to like it. I can almost guarantee it's due to your own upgrade. You can experience an upgraded harmony within your relationship dynamics. And now achieving this harmony is not always easy. Sometimes it does involve very difficult conversations, sometimes heated conversations, sometimes a lot of compromise and patience and willingness to see other people's perspectives. And this can happen like within your business or a band or something. But it's like, if you're willing to do that type of work, you can have more harmony, where everyone's in their zone of genius, everyone's in their flow. I've had to go through this many times in business, to be exact. But the point is, like, I'm describing different scenarios that all point to the same fundamental idea that you're changing, you're evolving, you're growing, you're expanding, whether you want to, whether you like it or not. And you, as a result of this, you will find you'll continually be confronted with exactly what I'm talking about. The need to be willing to adjust something within your relationships in order to maintain this like increasing level of harmony within yourself and life, and also with them as well. That's sort of happening. But on the surface, when you're in it, when you're in the transition, it feels like bad endings, scary. But if you can see it through, it will result in more harmony. It will result in everybody being where they're meant to be, at least for right now. Number 3, I wrote down, in the dark, but well on your way. I want to say this very like with emphasis, because a lot of times the awakening, the transformational process is very much like this. In the dark, meaning like you don't know where things are heading. You feel maybe skeptical even about where things are heading. It doesn't seem good. Things are changing. You don't know where it's going. You're feeling a certain way about it. Things might look a little bleak. You might also feel like you're in this like standstill where there's no new information. You're just kind of stuck in the middle of this void, this transition. Something's breaking apart. The new is yet to present itself, and you're just there in the dark. Yet, well on your way. There's a whole book about this by St. John of the Cross. I've been talking about it because I'm studying it for the book I'm writing about, the dark night of the soul. And he talks about this, like during the dark night of the soul, according to him, the Spanish 15th century mystic, real badass Christian mystic, St. John of the Cross. He talks about this. He talks about how it's almost like the analogy I'll give you, it's not from him, it's my own. It's imagine standing before Van Gogh's Starry Night, beautiful masterpiece. And you come where you're like a half an inch from it. And you're like right there. All you see is black, maybe a little speck of light or paint or something, but you don't see what it is. You're in the darkness because you're zoomed in. You might be zoomed into your own shadow right now. You might be zoomed into somebody else's shadow. You might be zoomed into your mind's worst case scenarios. Nonetheless, you're zoomed in, really incapable of truly having a good grasp about what's actually taking place and the grand scheme of things within your life. You're zoomed in, you're in the dark, yet well on your way. In the dark night of the soul, according to St. John of the Cross, he says that when you feel the most spiritually vacant, he uses the word aridity, when you feel arid, devoid of any semblance of God or the Holy Spirit or spiritual connection, that's when God is the closest to you. That's when you are being infused by this God essence, this soul essence. But there's like this temporary illusion where you don't really see it. I mean, look back at your own life. Has this not happened to you? Where things seem like they're going a certain way, and then once you get a little bit more information or something like that, all of a sudden the whole picture changes and you realize that all the things that were happening are really in your favor, and you end up in a much better situation. I just went through this, I'd say over the last 8 months, this has been like a perfect example where, as I mentioned, I'm in a new house, right? In this house, just to say, it almost feels like a blessing from the universe, how fitting it is for me and my family on all levels. Without getting into the details, every inch of this house feels like it was really made for us. The feeling of harmony and just resonance with the location, everything, it feels almost like magical. But if you were to catch me 8-9 months ago, I was in a different house that was just the opposite. It was like major dissonance. This place had mold twice. And we didn't even know it the first time. We lived with mold for almost a year, not wondering why I'm having heart palpitations and I'm sick and all this stuff. and the kids' allergies. It was like bad. And the whole house was just like always having something going on with it. It was like we weren't meant to be there. It was complete and utter dissonance on all levels, except for on paper. On paper, it seemed nice, but it was not meant for us. And we finally got out of that in kind of an abrupt and sort of messy way, admittingly. And it didn't go well with the owners, and we had like kind of a legal battle even, honestly. And I was wondering, like, why is this all happening? Why, what did I thought like I did something wrong, like pissed off the gods or something. I felt like I was just going off on these, like, almost like making a lot of like karmic mistakes, it seemed like at the time. And maybe there were some of that. Then we ended up in this other house. I know it's kind of confusing. We had 3 houses in the last like year, not even. This other house, which was like, it had none of the problems of the previous one. Really cool landlord, really nice, no problems with it. Nothing was going wrong, no mold, clean air, but it also wasn't a fit. And we had signed up for 18 months. And I thought, oh my God, what's going on? I keep making these like unconscious mistakes. We left kind of abruptly. That was a huge headache. And now we find ourselves sort of stuck in this other house that's not meant to be. And I'm like, man, as a father, I really want to get my family just settled in somewhere nicely. And I was wondering, what's going on? What's the problem here? I was in the darkness. I didn't see what was transpiring. I couldn't. But you know what happened? Came home from the gym one day, and my landlord sent me a text and said, hey, Victor, can we talk? I was like, okay, this guy, we don't talk on the phone ever. So I'm like, what does this mean? What does he want? And as I kind of suspected, I'm like, what could he possibly want that would require a phone call? Probably something to do with the house. So obviously, he said, hey, Vic, how's it going in the house? I'm like, yeah, well, it's not bad. I was like very polite about it. And he said, well, that's good, but also bad because I kind of want to move back in. How do you feel about that? I was like, actually, that might be great, bro. And we kind of like that. I felt hopeful. That same day, I went on to my phone. My wife and I, we went on Trulia, and we saw this house that had just gone on the market just that day. We saw it that very next morning. We were the first and only people to see it, and of course, we got it. And like all of the things that happened had to happen. Even the second house I was talking about, that had its own lessons. It was bigger than we thought we wanted. It really was a reflection of all the things we thought we wanted but realized don't want. So all these things were giving us not only the perfect precision timing, but the actual clarity to discover what we really want out of a house, out of a living situation. A far cry from what we thought we wanted 8 short months ago. But this interim period was filled with stress and what seemed like problems and a bunch of like just being in an unideal situation. All of that to finally bring me at the exact perfect timing here to a place that is a true match for our true preferences. And that's a fundamental experience I've gone through numerous times, and I bet you have as well. Not just with houses, with anything with manifestation. When you're changing and doing the inner work and growing, you have this opportunity to up-level your reality experience in some capacity. And as we make these sort of accelerated jumps to our ideal situation, it can seem temporarily like we've regressed and things are bad. We're in the darkness. And yet we're still well on our way. Don't lose faith. Don't discount all the inner work you're doing. That does mean something. Even though it doesn't immediately reflect in like direct proportion in your reality experience, it does. It does, but in the nonlinear kind of way. Sometimes all at one time, which can be quite thrilling. And oftentimes lies at the end of this transition when you're in the dark but well on your way. Have patience with the process, my friend. Remember all the work you're doing. Know that you deserve all the blessings that are probably in the mail. Thank you all so much for watching. If you still feel a little bit stuck and would like some assistance, I have a free somatic release breathwork ceremony I'm going to give to you. Most people charge good money for these. It's a very, very powerful experience. And I'm going to give it to you for free. No catch. I'll leave a link down below. Check it out. It's a downloadable video where you can just pop it on. And it's good for helping you release trapped emotions, achieve clarity. It's a very purgative, transformational experience that's almost surprisingly powerful, just with you and your breath and some music in the background. It's a free guided experience I'm offering to you right now. I'll leave a link down below. Check it out if you'd like. With that said, have an amazing day. God bless. Peace.